of our country. I've worked in projects. I'm working right now in quality assurance in engineering office. My questions are, give me a chance. I do have 3-4 questions, all are linked together. And since all eminent panelists, I hope that I'll get the best of the answer from them. So my first thing is, sir, as you said, BHEL is quite capable of manufacturing most of the components of the power plants. But still, I have seen that almost 20% of the components, or you can say 15 or 20% of the components, are still, which are critical, are imported from Western countries, or Japan, or other developed countries. So why can't we have, suppose if we are putting a subcritical power plant, why can't we have all the components manufactured in India? My second question is, sir, this is a wonderful construct that manufacture or make in India. But I think it must be linked to educate in India also. Because India is having best of the talent. We can speak very well in English. We can understand English. But I believe the higher education centers or R&D centers, they are not in India. Can we not encourage the good universities of US to put their centers in India? It will greatly help in this aim of manufacturing in India.
Take next. That's all, 2 questions. Now the first one, I think, why can't all the purja and components of a subcritical unit at least is made in India? This I would ask Chairman BHEL, and if Mr. Basu wants to reply, maybe I think mainly Mr. Rao will be able to answer that even after so many years, even in subcritical units, why do we need imported components?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in my speech that, we don't manufacture everything in the country, the material side particularly. If you look at subcritical, what we import is those forgings and castings which are not made in this country. I also mentioned about the boiler plates of certain thickness and above. They are not made in the country, so therefore you are forced to import. And certain components, at times you are forced to import because they are not economical for anybody to set up because the quantities are so less. So that is also one of the reasons for the manufacturing side. So that will be the reason why some components will remain to be imported.
So areas in which you can set up, you can become entrepreneurs on areas where it's not manufactured in India. Second question, I just want to tell you that, Asthana, the second point is you're very well taken, that we have to increase our capacity to train, educate people in India and, bring in the best from the US or wherever to come and teach in India. I think there are many BITOSA members who are running educational institutes. My message goes to them. So why don't you look at Asthana's suggestion and see what you can do in enhancing your courses, introducing certain courses in which we can encourage people to get trained in India. I have a question to me from the left-hand side of the podium, R.K. Jha, 81 batch, BIT Mesra, NTPC Lucknow. Why are there so few power plants in coal-rich Jharkhand? Can you stand up, Jha, so that people know that you've asked this question? Okay. Now, I think let's understand first of all, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh came together as states in year 2000. Almost 15 years down the line, where is Chhattisgarh and where is Jharkhand? So there is something to do with the state which never picked up that there could not be power plants. But having said that, let me also tell you, if you look at the Indian map and you take out the tribal map of India, you take out the forest map of India, and you take out the coal map of India. You superimpose them, you will find they're all in the same area. Jharkhand has the maximum number of tribals and forest above coal bearing area. Kindly baith jaye. No, not you. You keep standing. Somebody standing and sitting. Please sit down. So Jharkhand has the maximum number of coal mines located in the forest and tribal areas. Setting up power plant there has become extremely difficult. Some areas the Coal India is taking out coal, but once they take out the coal, that area is not good for power plant setting up, you know that. So probably we have to look at technology where we can do underground mining as well as have the power plant on top. Let me inform this August gathering and even my colleagues in NTPC who do not know about this. The North Karanpura is such a project where we are trying this. The power plant will be on the surface and underground mining we will do 300 meters to 500 meters to bring out the coal and use it in the power plant. That will generate the cheapest power. Okay, Mr. Jha, you can sit down now. I think, let me see if I have some more questions to me, then I can pass it around to the other panelists. I have Pankaj Kumar Jha. You want to ask me a question? And to the panel. Yes, please.
Morning, sir. Sir, we know that thermal energy is going to be the major contributor for some years to come as far as India's power requirement is concerned. Now, for that, we need coal. And coal production in India is still lives in the obsolete technology of blasting rather than using latest equipment. And we don't want coal, importing coal is not going to be a solution because it will become something like what we pay in oil. We don't want to become like that. So how do you see, sir, going forward? Because for NTPC, majorly you need coal. How do you see going forward as a nation? We are going to fulfill this requirement of coal.
Thank you very much. I think I answered briefly in my presentation that we are mining too little coal. We should be mining about 3 to 4 billion in a year. We are mining about 400 billion. Now, the government has taken some initiatives, if you know, all of you. Those who are coming from abroad, let me tell you, there's a lot of confusion in how the private sector will get into mining, how the mines will be allocated. So the government has now taken a stand, thanks to Supreme Court, which has cancelled all these mines. An ordinance has come in, and an ordinance has clearly mentions how the coal mines will be allocated. So now I think the coal mines will quickly get allocated. The government is saying by March. By March this year, we think it will get allocated. There'll be more players. There'll be a coal regulator. There'll be more players who will come in and mine more coal. We need to mine more coal. But you know, we should also keep in mind when we talk of all this, that our coal, Chinese coal, Australian coal, South African coal, they're all different. If you know, and most of you know because those of you who studied in BIT Mesra, there's a whole lot of mine in Jharia belt which is burning below the earth. Many of you know that the coal in India which we produce has 40 to 50% of ash. So it's not so simple. You can't do underground mining when the strata is insecure. It becomes very, very unsafe for mining. China is doing almost 90% underground mining. Their coal is good, their ash is about 10%, and the coal strata is good. So all these technology constraints are known. The policy issues are getting sorted out. I'm sure we'll have good days coming. Achhe din aayenge jaldi se. Okay, I have a question from Mr. Amir Rahman, sitting on the left side, and who hasn't mentioned whom he wants to ask this question.
Yeah, good afternoon. I have a very general question. We just discussed about the modernization, raw material costs, that our industries have to face. We have a glowing example of Japanese modernization, wherein they are importing most of the raw materials and still are able to manufacture with the best quality products. So where do we lack? Is the technology front or any other issues? I think
Mr. Rao will take that question.
Yeah, anybody can answer. And thanks for all the information.
See, in my opinion, we are not adding value here. That's what is the point I was trying to drive at. The material cost is high because we are using the material where the value is already added by somebody else outside the country. That's how the last 25 years data shows that the manufacturing company's cost structure shows about roughly 62 to 65% as the material cost. Vis-a-vis the other countries, the US is just 50%. So the value addition in the country therefore is coming down. So there is big opportunity there for the Make in India, that if you make all that in India, the value addition will go up in the country, that will provide more jobs. That's the point I was trying to drive at.
Well, I think I have a question to me from Mr. Praveen Nag. I'll take that and then where is Mr. Asim Kumar Goswami? Okay. You have a specific suggestion to me, specific to NTPC. I don't think this is for this seminar.
No, sir. No, sir. It's not to NTPC.
Ah,
It is to the August gathering here, and there are many people who are working as CEOs and chief executives in their own concerns. What I was thinking is that my suggestion was basically to see that we have been talking about big, high, I mean to say, into manufacturing sectors, which is very, very cost intensive and other things. My only thing is, I was just thinking what a simple solution it can be, that if we start with the budding engineers, say all BITians when they are coming out after passing, in the software industry today, making dashboard of top executives. What I'm saying is that it is not true. We can, since we are in NTPC, we can start off this idea and can take up this to see that it minimizing meetings, easy material process, so that the top executives, when he comes in the morning, he knows what are my, what is to be done for the day. And I'm already known things. So this is one aspect which I thought is much, much easier, and it can really be a very good tool for the budding engineers coming out and can set up some certain software. It is basically on the software side, which is much easier to do also.
any of you want to respond to this? No, he hasn't made any point. He's made some suggestion on how to save time on less meetings, and CEOs should have more time to.
See, I think most of the CEOs must be adopting this already. Like if you're talking of a video conferencing facility, like no, we have so many units all over the country, and centrally from corporate office. In fact, even both NTPC and BHL, we have those facilities. And I'm sure also must be having even global facilities like that. So we have, back-end information systems to bring up this data, say project monitoring, for example, if you look at. In fact, in some of the projects, there are cameras installed, where the live pictures are brought in about the status of the project to the reviewing authorities. So therefore, most of the systems are being used, but it can be further improved. Yes, there's always room for improvement.
Okay, I think one more thing, Asim. I just want to ask you, how long are you in Jhajjar?
Now, right now, I am working as additional general manager, operations and commissioning and chemistry, along with electrical and C&I for the last 4.5 years.
Okay, are you there on request or you have been posted there administratively?
No, administrative posting only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you give me a paper on how to reduce manpower in Jhajjar. Okay. I think Jhajjar is the station which has got maximum man-megawatt ratio. Okay. Or it has too many people. Yeah, we are working at a 0.2 man-megawatt. You work out a chart for 0.2 for Jhajjar and send it to me. Tell me which are the positions which are surplus. This is one of your points, which will improve the efficiency and less manpower, okay? So this is a task I leave to you.
Okay.
Okay, now Praveen Nag, last question to me, and after that I'll hand over to the other panelist. Praveen Nag is sitting on the right. You have to stand up for the people to know where you are. And you have to reduce your weight, Praveen Nag. I also have to do so.
Yes.
I also have to do so, you also must. Okay.
That I have already planned. I think by next year you'll reduce.
Very good, very good. I'll be so
You'll
glad.
see that my reduced
I'll be
weight.
so glad.
Yeah. I am now with IoT Group, Stuart Sunlights as CEO on 73 batch only from BIT. I am having just two general questions.
One
because
question you have to me, you ask that, and then we'll go to...
Yeah.
We'll go to Mr. Basu. Your next question is to him.
First question to you that when these coal mines and sand mines will be lifted by government, because all power projects are getting
Yeah,
affected.
yeah. Let me just reply to this quickly. Coal mine, without coal, we can't have electricity in our country. That is the cheapest form of electricity. You have heard all the vestiges that is happening to that. That's a different issue to be. Coal mining is being given a little pressure. As you've seen the minister speaking that Coal India will double its production in the next 5 years. Let's hope it does. And coal mining will then push the electricity generation. Okay? Mr. Basu, take the second part of his question, please.
So, Mr. Basu, very simple things, because I started my career with GEC in 79. So that time, English Electric was under GEC for relay protection. The factory was there in Chennai. And then transformer factory, it was at Naini. That was the biggest factory in India those days. So I believe Alstom came afterwards.
Well, Alstom is a history of merger and acquisition over the last 150
Yes,
years.
acquisition. Yes, I know that.
Right.
Alstom France acquisition took
Yes,
place
correct.
to GEC UK 94, 95.
I will just quickly give. So first, your first point was 1911. Yes, that origin is due to GEC UK. Your second question was Naini Transformer Factory. That was due to GEC UK. Your relay protection factory at Chennai was due to English Electric UK. So in the history of Alstom, we had the acquisition of GEC, we had the acquisition of English Electric, we had the acquisition of AEG Germany, we had the acquisition of Sprecher, we had the acquisition of ABB Power. So it has a huge history of acquisition. So that's why it's difficult to distinguish, but we are truly a multinational. And again, we are going for another change that you will know next year.
Okay, Mr. Basu, you have a few more questions.
So, okay,
You
I
can
take
them
another
one by one.
question. Is that okay, Mr. Nag? Any other
Yes,
questions? Okay, I have a question from Sunil Jain. Mr. Sunil Jain. Yes.
Mr. Basu, in your speech, you mentioned that scheduling forecasting of renewables was one thing which was an expertise with Alstom. But you did also mention about some balancing of the renewable power with the main power. You have some technology. Can you just elaborate on that?
Right. So first of all,
And second question is that you talked about the ultra-high 1200 kV systems. How safe they are technologically, considering that India faced a power blackout, and larger the systems they go and they collapse, the bigger the problem is.
right, I will take the last one first. The voltage level normally has no correlation with a blackout that India faced 2 years ago. What I can say is that that India has one of the most advanced automated grid. What probably has not been sufficiently talked about is that India's grid recovered in less than 8 hours, whereas California took 72 hours to recover. So that was the agility of the grid to come. So today, by synchronizing all the regions of India and by building systems, which we call grid stability, India is strengthening the grid's software mechanism.